Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and this is Spotlight on Government. And today I have one of my very favorite guests, Betty Reed, representative from District 61 here in the state of Florida. Betty, it is so wonderful to have you back on the show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
I have to tell you, you've got 7 years of service now, and going into what I don't even like the thought of term limits, but you're going to be term limited out in another year.
Yes.
So you got 1 more year.
Yes.
To make sure that you get what you want done. So
yes.
Let's kind of focus on a little bit about what's gone on over those 7 years and what you'd like to focus on in this next year.
A lot of things going on in the past 7 years. We started out, and in that first year, we ended up getting legislation passed for the infant mortality bill. You heard about that one. That was the one that helped to reduce the rate of babies dying before their first birthday. Mm-hmm. And the group that I was working with that, we got $1 million, Senator Jordan and I got $1 million. We brought it home for research. And once the research was done, we were getting ready to tank with the economy being in such bad shape. And so we went to the group and said, we are not going to be able to help you get money to implement this plan. Well, those people were so great. They went out and they got volunteers and they got resources from other areas, and they implemented that plan, and today it is working. Today the numbers are down, not where we want them to be, but they are down. But I continue to work with them. And that would be part of the plan that I want to see happen in this next year, is that they can get it fully implemented and start working toward really reducing the number of babies dying before their first birthday.
Now the economy is swinging up, that becomes a possibility.
Yes, it does. It does. This is the first year that I have actually felt excited about trying to move that legislation farther, because it's been just so hard in the past. You know, we were going up there at one point, and everything we would hear is cut, cut, cut. We were not hearing anything about what is going to be good this year. It was just cut, cut, cut. Last year was a wonderful year because we didn't talk about cuts. But over the years, I have built relationships with other representatives on both sides of the aisle. I have been able to bring legislation home that was good for the state of Florida. A couple of years ago, we had this bill that we helped women, Senator Jordan and I, we have worked really well together.
She's a nice lady. I've had her on several times.
Yes.
In fact, I'm looking forward to having her on soon.
Good. That's wonderful. She and I worked together on legislation for women that are incarcerated and going into labor and delivery, and they were handcuffed at that time, and we worked to make sure that they wasn't handcuffed during that procedure, that they were able to go in and have the baby. And then after that, you know, we never tried to interfere, but we wanted to see that policy to save children, because that's a dangerous, dangerous situation for them to be in at that moment. The thing that was so important to me is that when we met with the people from the corrections department, it were all men.
No fear of any of those being handcuffed during any kind of...
Right. So I was really working hard to get that legislation passed. I was the only one there with children. So I said, do you want me to show you what happens during that? And they said, oh, no, don't worry about showing me. We will work through this. So that was one of those times that was really fun, and it was really important to get the legislation done. We did get it through, and it is working fine at this point. One of the things that was just so much fun for me was during the time when we could afford to have children that were graduating. We gave them a party at the end of the school year if they were the ones that had advanced placement and they passed those tests in the advanced placement classes. Then at the end of the year, we had a party for them. We gave out scholarships, and this was Representative Reed's project. It was no one else's. If someone would like to give me a donation, I was grateful for that.
That'd be great.
But yes, I started that program. We got in the middle of the recession. It couldn't keep it going. We are working to make this last year one of the times that we can do it that one more time, bring all those young people together. So what we did is we got them from all the high schools in the area. Then we also had the other kids, the other students that was in the culinary arts program. They were the ones that did the food. And we had cloth table tops, we had napkins, we had silverware, we had china. We served them well and sent them off to school.
I went down and judged one at the culinary contest down at the South County.
How about that? Isn't that neat?
Great food. You know, I think it's important, at least it is to me. Maybe the rest of the people don't care. But I think people have to know a little bit about the people that are talking here on the show. And you've talked about children, you've talked about schools, you've talked about the criminal justice system, but they say, you know, who is this person and why are they talking about this and what background do they have? And you know, over the years I've gotten to know you as you've come on the show and we've talked in the green room and other times, and your life is just, I think it'd make a great book. You were married at 15, is that correct?
Yes.
And let's just go through the chronology so people will see where you came from and where you've come to. All right? You were married at 15. You had 5 children along the way, correct?
Yes, yes.
It
was 5 of my siblings that we helped raise, my husband and I.
And so let me get that straight. There were 5 of your own, correct?
Yes.
And then 5 more
yes.
that you took in. So there was always a little more water to the soup. There was always room and love for one more.
Yes.
And then you went ahead and got yourself educated.
Yes, along with my children. We were in school together. All of us. We were all sweating tests at the same time.
And then you went and became a teacher in the Hillsborough school system, correct?
No, I was in the private sector.
Oh,
I worked for private colleges.
Okay, private colleges.
Yes.
All right.
I also, during the time when my children were in school, I became involved in volunteering at the school where the children were going.
Okay.
And so I got so involved in PTA until I was moving around and you know, doing work with them. And it helped me also when I became employed. So I became employed by a private college here in Tampa, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name or not.
Sure.
And I started working at National Education Center.
Okay.
And the financial aid department, because that's what I did as a volunteer.
Oh, okay.
To help students learn how to receive their, how to complete the paperwork.
Sure.
Things that needed to be done to help
important things.
Important things if you're planning on getting a higher education.
Which gives you the background and experience to be able to say, here are the things you need.
Yes.
Which I think is fabulous.
And it was wonderful for parents to be able to come in and talk to another parent. You know, you feel more comfortable just sitting down talking with someone who's just a mom. And from there, it just blossomed.
And your children all have college, all 5 have college degrees.
Yes, sir.
2 of them have bachelors, and one of them has a master's, and the other 2 are PhDs or somewhere close
one
to
is
that.
already a PhD, the other one is working on a PhD.
And you're still married to that fine
and I'm
gentleman.
still married to that same man. Yes, yes. We will be together the rest of our lives.
How many years have you been married?
Oh, no, I'm not going to. I tell you, we have been married a long time.
You're too smart for me.
We have been married a long time.
But I want to meet that gentleman one of these days. I want, at the end of the next year, I want you to come back, and I want you to talk about the whole 8 years and what you saw this last year, but I want you to bring him with you.
Oh, thank you. He would love to come, I'm sure.
I would love to meet that gentleman. You got to realize you're talking about a family who, against all odds, raised 10 children and probably influenced another 10 or more and are still together, loving each other.
Oh, yes, yes.
So this is the kind of representative that District 61 has right now.
Yes, it is.
And
yes, it is.
It's going to be a real hard job in the next year to sort out somebody that can follow in. But, okay, now you were talking about the programs you'd set up in the schools for various things. What other things do you see over the past 7 years that you'd like to see moving forward in this next year?
One thing I wanted to do is build an incubator, job incubator in the area of some of the on Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard. I really, really want to see that become a reality. And whomever the person is that takes over District 61, I hope to be able to work with them, if it's not completed by that time, to get that project going. There are a lot of people that are just needing a job.
Oh.
You know, just a job. They're not seeking a career in certain areas. They just want a job that they can go to work. I tell you, in last year when I was running for office.
And a job that pays something.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but
yes.
Quite honestly, I'm sorry. I look at some of these companies and they're giving people wages that the people are going out and getting welfare after they get their paycheck.
Right.
And
they're
somehow that
working
doesn't
full
seem
time.
right. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that these people don't want to work. It means that they're just not getting paid enough.
They're hard workers.
To maintain.
That's right.
And there's a lot of people that I last year, I had a day's work. And I said I need maybe about 10 people. I ended up on a Saturday morning, 7:30, with maybe 50 or more people there for those few jobs that I had. I said
Really?
10 to 50. So it lets me know that people are not just lazy. If there's something available for them to do, they will go to work. And so that's a project that I'm working on now, and I really want to see that completed. I really do. I mean, I will volunteer from now on to make sure that
You're not just going to hand it over to somebody. You're going to be there to watch it, right?
Yes, yes. At least that part, because it's something I know that will be good for the community. I have worked, I have served on healthcare committees also several times. I served 2 years, and then they'll take me off for 2 years, and I go back for 2 years, and they'll take me off. So
I've never quite understood why they do some of this. It makes no sense to me.
I know. I'm truly committed to health care for everyone. And to not be able to see clinics and health facilities in the community as they should be is really hard. But I have a gentleman that I have worked with in the past, Mr. Bottom. I don't know if you know Mr. Bottom or not, but he has built healthcare centers around Tampa Bay. He has I think about close to 20. And he and I started working together the first year I was in office. And I would say we would get together for lunch, or we would be talking, and I would say, Mr. Bottom, I really need a healthcare center. Oh, out near Progress Village. He got it there. You know, he's been just so good at getting the centers where we talked about. I talked about Sulphur Springs, and you know Sulphur Springs is one of those areas could really benefit from a healthcare facility. It's a beautiful one there now. And it's one more I've been asking him for. So he's starting that facility sometime in the near future. So when that gets built, I'm going to take pictures to bring to you next year.
All right.
To say this
That'd be nice to bring along some pictures. We can talk about various things.
Yes, I will. I will bring some of some of the projects that we have worked on One of the others that we worked on when I first got elected, you know, there's been sometimes some money brought into this area, to that area, and for some reason it just didn't seem like it went as far as I thought it should. I worked with a group who did some research in the area and looked at how the structure was and what could be done to help to build the community and make it stronger. District 61 was 59, but now it's 61. And so we are going to be working on that also this year to try. There's a lot that needs to be completed, I think, but term limits are going to get the next person too.
It's very difficult. I feel on term limits, and you don't really care what I think as far as an audience is concerned. I defer to my guests, but term limits just seem to put the staff and the lobbyists in positions of power, because the new person coming in takes anywhere from 1 to 3 years before they really get their feet on the ground.
You're
They've
right.
got no seniority.
You're right.
They're sitting there at the bottom. They're being told what to do for the most part. It just, term limits, I like the ballot box as my term limit.
Well, you know, with the term limits, I voted for term limits when I didn't know any better. But now I see the injustice it does to the communities as a whole. I wouldn't say that term limits are all the way bad, but I think they should be expanded longer than 8 years.
Maybe we could just have term limits on the ones I don't like.
That would work well. That would work well for all of us.
But they're not going to make me king of the world, so it's not going to work.
But I think if we had 12 years, you know, you give yourself the 8 years to get there, get to know your way around. I know my way to the bathroom now. And so since I'm there, if you had 12 years, you would have time to spend some time working on different parts of the community to get things done. You know your way around, you know what you're doing, you can work much better than you can, you know.
Well, also, you would not spend so much time running.
Right.
This 2-year term makes no sense to me at all.
You're right. But I think we're going to forever have the 2 years in the House. Now, you know, the Senate they run every 4 years.
Yeah.
For the state, and in Congress is every 6. Yes.
But 2 years, you're always having to run. You lay down one campaign, pick up the next.
Yes.
I don't know what it costs, but one of the people was telling me a state representative in this area can spend $1 million.
They can, but you know, I think if you get out there and you work, you visit your constituents, you do your work, and really mean what you say, I don't think it takes that much to get someone
Some of the
elected.
problems, I guess, are areas that have more than one metropolitan area in them. And they've got to spend money advertising here and over here too.
Right.
It gets pretty expensive.
It does. It is expensive. It is expensive, and it does take time. That it would be good if you didn't have to worry about that time.
Of course, I'm a great believer, and I don't know how you feel about limiting the amount of money that any one individual can spend on any individual campaign. Because one man, one vote's a good idea, but not when that one man can spend $1 million.
And the other one can only raise 50.
Right. It's hardly one man, one vote anymore.
Right. If it was to where that it was limited for everyone, then it would be much better to make sure that that it works out even. Everyone would have to do the same thing. You would have to really get out there and go door to door knocking on doors. And it wouldn't be that you could send mail for anything. You would have to work for it, really work for it.
Well, this last campaign, Representative Reed, there was so many lies spent, and I'm not talking about one party or the other. It's equal, the amount of money that was spent on fraudulent advertising. And once it's over, they say, "Oh, I'm bad, my bad. I guess I shouldn't have done that, but I won, so."
Yes, yes.
Where is District 61? How would you define it?
It runs from 301 all the way over to the west side of Tampa, down the center of Armenia Avenue,
Okay.
from Progress Boulevard all the way back. It zigzags in that area, and it goes, and in some sections it goes all the way out to Snapper Road.
It amazes me, honestly, how these people start drawing their lines when they
Oh,
make
it's
these,
amazing when you sit in there
especially after
looking.
the people said, don't do that.
Yes, and it's amazing when you sit in there looking at them being drawn, and then you come back the next day and it's a whole new map. You know, I had the opportunity to serve on that committee 2 years ago. Had an opportunity to travel all around the state of Florida and you know, see the area. It was really an experience to be able to serve.
What will your committee assignments be for this next year?
I'm on higher ed, economic development, and Dwayne is always here to tell me the other coup.
Once upon a time, you were on criminal justice, and I really thought that you made an impact in that area.
Right, yes, I thought so too, but you know, it depends on who the speaker is at that time, because they are the ones that get the opportunity to change you around to different committees. And sometimes it's done because of who the speaker is, you know, where they want you to serve. I have served in whatever position I was in. It's a need of the state for whichever one. And once you get there and you get to working with the committee and you know what's going on, it's not hard to serve on either one.
By the way, before I forget it, I want you to thank Patricia Gibbons, your administrative assistant.
Yes.
And Dwayne, your legislative assistant. You have two of the best staff people.
Oh, thank
very
you.
Cooperative, call back, do anything you need done. They really do a great job. So be sure that when you get back to the office, you pat them both on the back for us, will you?
Well, I certainly will. Thank you so much. You know, you don't know how your staff is unless someone else tells you. And I truly appreciate that, because they are going to do what you ask them to do when you're there, but they don't always do it when you're not.
Well, certain people have, I mean, there's a lot of good staffers around, I have to admit. There are a lot of good staffers. But some come to mind, like Audie, who works for Tom Lee. Customer service is #1 in her mind. Bang,
Right.
she's away. Your staff is the same way.
Wonderful.
Let's talk about your district now. In the next year, there's going to be a lot of jockeying and moving and trying to get people to back this person and that person for the position you're in today. What do you see as the primary need for someone that's in, not who, but the primary need for people that are going to be filling your shoes now?
I see that person being able to work within the community, within the district, within the state of Florida, with building a relationship with Tallahassee, with both sides of the aisle in Tallahassee, to get work done. I see the economy is coming back, and that's a good thing for all of us to be able to do a better job. You know, we used to have what is called a CBERS. It was a community grant that you could apply for. Different people in the community could apply for it, and it's a possibility that you would have the opportunity to bring that home. I was able to bring home 2 within that first 2 years, but after that, there was no funds there.
No more money.
No money to do that.
Can't bring them home if there's no more money.
Right, right. But with the economy seem to be on a turnaround now, I think that would help the community as a whole if someone worked both sides and got those resources to the community.
It's so hard to be a moderate today. I mean, goodness gracious, if you aren't totally for me, then you're against me.
Right.
It's so hard to work across the aisle, because if you work across the aisle, you're a rhino. If you do this, there's all kinds of different things.
Right,
We got to put something back into America that says, you know, moderation, people.
And you are correct, But you also know that you might be called a rhino, you might be called whatever, but you know that if you do what is right and what your constituents sent you there to do, you can live through all of that. You can live through being called whatever. But if you don't do what you know is right, you have to not look at yourself in the mirror. And I like looking at me, so
Well, I like looking at you too, Betty.
so I believe the right thing to do is to do what you know is right. You know, I'm sure I've been picked on at times for it, but that's okay. I never forget why I'm there. And I never will forget as long as I'm there. I'm not there just for someone to open a door for me. I'm there to work on behalf of District 61 and the state of Florida. And I would tell anyone that I'm just not there for District 61. I was sworn in as a representative of the state of Florida. And so I have to represent in that way.
You know, and that's probably something a lot of people forget. And I think one of the problems is that we're forced to go hard right, hard left to get through the primaries. It's always very difficult just to get through the primaries for an honest person.
It is, but I believe it happens every once in a while.
Well, let's hope it happens in District 61 at the end of next year. But until that time, you're still in charge.
I'm still in charge, yes. And I'm going to work until the last day that I am elected.
I have no doubt in my mind that that'll be the case. You promise to come back a year from now.
I promise to come back a year from now.
And give me a complete report, bring some pictures.
Yes.
And bring your husband if he's at all available, because I want to meet him before you run out of office.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bill Hodges. This has been Representative Betty Reed, who is District 61 here in the Florida House of Representatives. This is Spotlight on Government. You're unique, you're special, you're great. Tell yourself so often because you are, you know, and we'll see you on the next Spotlight on Government. And Representative Reed, thanks so much for being with me. You always brighten my day.